Today, we'll conduct oversight of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFIUS, and examine efforts to strengthen our national security. Thank you, Assistant Secretary Rosen, for being here, and I look forward to your testimony. CFIUS operates under a dual mandate to address national security risks in foreign investments and maintain the United States' commitment to an open investment climate. 5 years ago, Congress enacted the most far-reaching changes to CFIUS in a generation. This legislation, the Foreign Investment Risk Review Modernization Act, or FIRMA, extended CFIUS's jurisdiction to certain non-controlling investments as well as real estate transactions near sensitive government sites. FIRMA also made operational updates so that CFIUS officials could complete investment reviews more effectively. This included creating the position that you now occupy, Mr. Rosen. These efforts were carefully tailored to legitimate national security risks. Yet, at the same time, FIRMA underscored the United States' longstanding embrace of foreign investment. In addition to reforming how we look at inbound transactions, Congress also strengthened national security through a major outbound policy, the Export Control Reform Act. This was the first long-term reauthorization of export controls in nearly 4 decades. This legislation, which passed with FIRMA, now serves as a legal basis for our export controls against adversaries like China and Russia. Like all previous CFIUS laws, FIRMA recognized that an outside investor may pose a risk to the country receiving investment. That's common sense. But now the Biden administration is proposing to use CFIUS to regulate Americans' investments into China. That's nonsense. Congress has repeatedly dismissed this idea, and for good reason. If you oppose Beijing's state-owned enterprises, you want more Western investment into China, not less. And if you're concerned about Chinese technology companies, you want more Americans in control of them, not fewer. And if you want to expand the reach of U.S. sanctions and export control laws, you want Americans in Chinese boardrooms who are required to comply with these laws, not CCP cronies and not Saudi princes. This is precisely why Xi Jinping has been attacking Western influence in Chinese companies. The Biden administration's outbound investment proposal will only help him achieve that goal more quickly. That's not in U.S. interest, that's not in global economic interest. And since it was first floated a few years ago, the premise of an outbound CFIUS has lacked the basic facts necessary to warrant such a move. If you hear of loopholes and gaps, there's not a single real-world example. In May, I sent a letter to Secretary Yellen asking for data to justify outbound restrictions. Not one of my questions was answered, and that's because there is no data to begin with. Mr. Rosen, you have an unenviable job. Now that outbound regulations have been announced through executive order, Treasury must seek to avoid a disaster in its implementation. And I think you're the right person to do this and make the best out of a really tough situation. You know as well as I do that we must use time-tested tools to get tough on China, not novel concepts. We need clear rules of the road and action based on data and facts, not political gamesmanship. And as I've said all along, to outcompete China, we cannot become more like the Chinese Communist Party. We must double down on our commitment to free people and free markets. That's the smart, balanced approach that is bipartisan and time-tested. Taking concrete action is the toughest approach to countering the generational threat posed by the CCP. I look forward to hearing from you, Mr. Rosen, today about how we can work together to achieve our shared goals.